week, and they're staying safe. Coming in here and starting this path into baseball again really just filled me with excitement. I know the guys are really excited as well. Just really looking forward, talk to you guys throughout the whole season, and here available for you for any questions.
Thank you, Luis. As a reminder, to ask a question, please use the raise your hand feature located below in the participants tab on the bottom of your screen. If you're having an issue with that tab, you can send a private chat to myself. Our first question comes from Steve Gelbs.
Hey, Luis. Hope all is well. Obviously, this is going to be an odd season in so many respects, both on and off the field. From your perspective, what do you anticipate being the biggest challenge that you're going to face, again, whether that's off the field or on the field with the way the season is structured this year?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of challenges already. The stoppage of the first camp that we had, and then, going into that, let's call it off-season mode, where the guys were into limited activity. That was a challenge itself, but our staff, performance staff, coaching staff, even our front office was involved, staying in communication with the guys. So I think that's one challenge that we overcome. We had another one that we're facing right now, is to get this camp going, as the guys reported here, and they're going through the intake process. I mean, hopefully everyone gets what the results are in time, so they can be here for the opener of camp. But there are challenges. There are definitely challenges on a daily basis, especially at the start, as we get acclimated to the guidelines and the protocols that we got to fulfill, and keep educating the guys. I think once we control that, and we're going to get back to our theme of having fun and having the baseball activity that playing the game that we all love. So we have that in front of us right now, and I think that's something that we're definitely getting ready for.
Thanks.
Our next question comes from the line of Tony DeComo.
Hey, Louie, good to see you. There was a report in the Post today that Chili Davis will be working remotely. Are the rest of your coaches going to be there? And can you just kind of run down the situation with Chili and why that was the right decision for him?
Yes, to the first comment, yes, Chili will be working remotely with us. So he'll be, helping out the players, helping out the coaching staff, and he won't be at the start of camp. I mean, the timeline for him to join us is uncertain yet, but he will be working remotely. And then the second question is, we have every coach in camp right now, reported.
What are just kind of the challenges of that, or of having him not on site?
I'm sorry, I kind of cut off a little bit on the question. If you might,
I just said, what are the challenges of that?
Of not having Chili? Yeah, I think we're gonna get the best of Chili. Whether he's with us at the start of camp or whether he's working remotely. I mean, we're in constant communication. Chili and I practically talk every day, and he's in communication with the coaches, the rest of the coaches like Slater, and also Ryan Ellis, who's going to be filling it out for him. He's going to be assistant Slater. So he's going to be helping us. He's a great asset. He's got great knowledge, great experience, and he helps the players with the hitting, with playing the game. He helps the coaches as well with this view of the game. So he is going to be working remotely, and we're going to feel his presence, with him inputting all the experience and all the repertoire that he can bring to the table.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Mike Puma.
Luis, how you doing?
Doing well, Mike. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just wondering. I mean, there's a lot of new stuff, obviously, with the health protocols and the testing, and it's a lot. I mean, what's your level of confidence that you guys can pull this off, and that we can have a full season here?
I mean, once again, I'm going to use the word challenge. I mean, it's, like Steve was saying earlier and asking the question, it's challenging times. And we started living this in baseball since March. And then, the country started living it in February when this thing started breaking. And we are educating ourselves. We are educating the players. And we're in constant communication, as far as getting better in the behavior around this and getting more discipline on how we do things on the field, off the field. We're very optimistic that we're going to go, come into camp, finish the intake process, go through camp and get into the season and finish it. I mean, that's our goal. We know it's challenging. We keep educating ourselves. We have an uncertain future on how, things are. I mean, we've seen it in the last few months. It's just tough to predict some things. But we're definitely getting prepared to go ahead and face it and go through the season and finish it, like I said, and focus on the baseball, have fun, and bring to the fans the game they love.
And just on a baseball level, since we last talked to you, you lost Syndergaard to the Tommy John surgery. You have the 5 starters. Would you expect this to be a 5-man rotation, or could you shorten the rotation, or how do you think you'll go about it?
Yes, good question. And we in spring training, we're always talked about having the luxury of 6 solid starters. We had them all start where they were stretching out, and when the camp stopped and. After camp, after that happened, we lost Noah, unfortunately. It's definitely a great loss, when you lose a pitcher like Noah Syndergaard. And I think the job that Brody's done, to give depth to this roster, not only on the starting pitcher, but, bullpen, and also from a position player standpoint, makes us, get up right away and, have somebody in there as solid as, a starter that's going to fulfill a 5-man rotation. So right now we're thinking of a 5-man rotation. We have 5 solid starters, and that's what we're gonna focus on stretching out in this camp.
Our next question comes from Justin Toscano.
Hey, Luis, how's it going?
Oh, good, Justin. Good seeing you.
Good. As a leader, as the manager of this team, how do you plan to, I know you mentioned education, but how can you really make sure guys take responsibility being away from the ballpark so things really don't go awry?
Yes, this is a good question. We've talked several different times. I mean, individually as a group, and we brought up all the ethos, and we have a lot of leaders in this clubhouse and on the team. Guys that are experienced in the league, guys that have a few years in the league, and they all feature as leaders. And I think their communication, not only with the education part, like you mentioned, but the communication amongst them, is gonna make this, even better. So they're disciplined with this. They're obedient to what the behavior is, not only in the facility but outside the facility. So we are going to keep educating ourselves. We are going to keep paying attention, and all the information that comes out, from a health standpoint. And we're also modeling some of the information that we greatly appreciate from the MLB protocol. And, and I think the trust factor is going to come into play with the leadership of the group and how we keep educating ourselves and how we keep our communication in a high level.
Thank you.
Cool.
Our next question comes from Tim Healy.
Hey, Luis, how's it going?
Tim Owell, how are you?
Excellent, thank you. I just wanted to first clarify on something I think you mentioned earlier. Has everybody reported already and taken their tests and whatnot, or are you waiting on anybody?
Everyone's reporting camp, and the intake process still going.
Okay, gotcha. And then how will this sprint of a season, as opposed to the usual marathon, change the way you go about managing, especially in-game stuff?
Well, I mean, definitely, thought about it. And every time you sit down and you think about, the length of the season, short version of this season, 60 games, and you definitely got to wait on, until you see the guys. Obviously we've been in great communication with them. Credit to our performance staff. They did such a great job to keep track of the guys, their body condition was throughout this, and also our coaches where their baseball activity level was. But them coming into camp when we get, them going in that baseball activity, that will dictate, where they're at by the beginning of the season. I think that's going to play a lot into this strategy of each game and how we're going to use the guys in different roles. So it's very important to get into that point, and I think that's going to go along with the strategy. But I think talking about our roster in particular, the depth is going to help us. I mean, depth to using guys. I said this before so many times. Going our bullpen. Pitchers don't get stretched out probably to a certain point that you don't want them. That they can get to. You have guys in the bullpen. You got individuals in the bullpen that have not experience of closing games, and different guys. And you can use them early in the game. You can use them later, and so you can do a lot of things to bridge into like that last third of the game. So there's some strategies. That's just me probably singling out one, but we need to get to that point to see where the guys are towards the end of camp in order to put together how we're going to approach this season.
And as a follow-up, how do you adapt Citi Field as a facility to a spring training environment? Because obviously you won't have the breadth of space that you usually have.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, it's a great challenge. I mean, last week I think I grew a few more gray hairs just brainstorming through this. But it's we've had fun. With definitely with the excitement of getting baseball back and going through this path. But we did come up with different ideas, and we're gonna stagger the guys. I mean, we're gonna come in groups, and starting tomorrow, which is the first day, we're gonna have 3 sessions. So 3 sessions of guys. So we make sure that we keep the proper. We're fulfilling the protocol. We keep the proper distancing. The proper monitoring, and that the guys are being able also to do their baseball activity, and they're also their conditioning activity. So that's how we're approaching it. And then as it goes, we'll see what adjustment we can make day to day, because we're learning every day on the protocol and the education of how to behave, so we can get our baseball activity done and we can get the team prepared.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Disha Thozar.
Hey, Louis. Nice to see you again.
Hi, Disha.
Just 2 things. Maybe not to the extent of Chile, but did you personally have any reservations when it comes to managing this year, just given the conditions under which baseball is trying to return?
Not really. I'm really excited right now. I'm excited to get into this, and like I said, like I mentioned to Tim just now, just the excitement of preparing camp, meeting with the staff, talking and communicating with the players how things are going to be, what the expectations are going to be of camp, so they know, the proper behavior, discipline, and distancing, all the rules that we need to follow, the protocol that we need to follow, I should say. I'm excited to go ahead and communicate that to them so we can get in and start our baseball activity. So I am excited that we're going to start this path and that we're going to start camp. And I can't wait to see the guys in uni and just doing baseball activity on the field.
Well, and then second thing, just what do you think will be the impact of no fans, not just on you as you manage your first big league game, but also on the team, as they might rely on adrenaline and everything that goes into a crowd being in the stadium? Yeah,
you know what? A lot of the guys, when we started hearing about the no fans, a lot of the guys just in conversations right away, they were voicing their opinion, like, man, the fans, we are gonna miss our fans in the stands. The roar in Citi Field, when this place is packed, I mean, it definitely gives a great adrenaline rush to our players, and we are going to miss that, for sure. But we know in our hearts, and we talked about this, that they're going to be from home watching on TV, pulling for us, and that's a great motivation that we're going to have for the season as well.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Tim Britton.
Hey, Louis. Good to see you. I'm wondering, you've managed in the minor leagues for a while. Your dad obviously managed in the majors for a long time. Is there anything in your prior experience? Is there anything you could talk to him about his experience that can prepare you for a season this weird?
Yes, good question. I mean, we've had conversation about different seasons. I mean, we knew immediately. When I say we, it's me and him just talking about when time was passing and we were waiting on things to improve and the conversations to start happening, and then to have the feel that there's going to be an agreement or some sort of season that we need to report it to as far as camp. So when we got the news of the 60 game regular season, we definitely started talking, about, it's a sprint and how similar it is to the Winter League, which is a league that he managed and I managed to, as far as the length of the season. I mean, the format might be a little different, but as far as like the distance and the value of each game, which is a little higher now because the amount of games, it's just a whole different season. So we definitely changed ideas, and it's always, a pleasure talking to him and just discussing some things that we lived and that he lived, and we can balance it, and it definitely helps me out to my own repertoire. So those are great conversations, great question.
And then kind of going off what Tim Healy asked you earlier, how much of your time have you been able to spend thinking about just baseball itself and the strategy versus thinking about all of the logistical challenges you guys have in front of you?
Both. I mean, I thought of both. We've had different calls. I mean, as you guys know, we're all probably experts in Zoom calls right now at this point. So we had all those Zoom calls where, we talk about strategy, and we have Zoom calls where we talk about logistics of how we're going to behave with this. So we're covering it all, so we can educate the players, so we can educate ourselves and navigate through this, and at the same time being able to focus on our baseball. So it's definitely something that we talked about, something that I think we keep improving by the day, and that we're very open still, to keep on learning because, there's still some challenges out there.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Natalie Alonso.
Luis, ¿cómo estás?
Hola, ¿todo bien, Natalito?
Mira, tu primer año dirigiendo, y ahora no solamente es cuestión de estrategia, sino de salud. Si me puedes hablar cómo estás afrontando todas estas responsabilidades nuevas que se han sumado a tu responsabilidad.
Bueno, definitivamente retos. Sigo mencionando la palabra reto en la pregunta que me hacen. De verdad que hay cosas que están inseguras en el futuro, son inciertas, uno no tiene quizás un buen sentido de cómo van a ser las cosas, pero con la preparación que hacemos con la información que ya hemos recibido, ya sea por la propuesta de la MLB, estamos utilizando eso de modelo, ajustando con algunas cosas que nosotros tenemos en particular, por ejemplo, aquí en nuestra facilidad, en nuestro estadio. Y pienso que ese reto nosotros lo estamos controlando, nos estamos sintiendo más cómodos mientras vamos educándonos, mientras vamos educando a los muchachos. Y algo que vamos a seguir mente abierta, como te digo, pero al mismo tiempo sabemos que el reto va a estar ahí, que no va a ser algo fácil, pero vamos a trabajar duro, ¿no? Para que todos podamos prepararnos, podamos seguir en la disciplina cumpliendo el protocolo correcto para así darle al juego a los fanáticos que ellos se merecen y nosotros jugar y divertirnos también allá afuera.
Gracias.
Gracias a ti.
Our next question comes from Bruce Beck.
Luis, wishing you and your family good health, first of all.
Thank you. Likewise.
Thank you. First-time Major League manager in New York, no less, during a pandemic, in the middle of a cry for social justice. How are you dealing with all this, Luis?
Well, it's definitely a challenge and a learning experience. I mean, I've learned a lot throughout this. I think, a lot of us have. I mean, we're still learning by the day. We're getting educated in so many different topics, and all I can say is I'm thankful right now that we're preparing to get back and being back in New York. Talking to you guys, being able to express some of this and relay some of my thoughts and how the players are doing. I'm very thankful of that. So we're definitely open to keep educating ourselves, to keep growing around this, so we can, like I said, navigate better throughout this season, going into camp now and navigate better throughout the season, keep the guys healthy, keep everyone's healthy, all their families, and bring the great game of baseball to the fans again.
Our next question is from Ken Davidoff.
Hey, Luis. Just wondering, you obviously didn't have a lot of time to prepare for the job when you got it back in January. There's this unexpected break. Understand you'd rather things be normal and you be managing already. Did this give you time to prepare any more, be it by reading or conversations or anything like that? Did you use this downtime to your benefit professionally at all?
Yes, it's a good question. I mean, this time we definitely took advantage of it to stay in touch with the players. I mean, I keep saying that it was just a fine job by our staff, and staying in touch with them. I know some of them had different probably lockdowns rules in their different locations, and just staying in touch with them to make sure that we could provide them with assistance, on what to do and what they're doing, or if we needed to cheap equipment or anything in that matter. That was our time. And some of the downtime I did read some books, obviously study different things, and it did help for preparation. I think you can definitely take advantage and improve in some things, in some areas. So but what I'm more grateful is that we stay in touch, we stay connected as an organization and as a team, throughout this, just, waiting for a time like this to come so we can, be ready and adjust to anything that we need to adjust. For example, like coming into Citi Field with the group and being ready to get educated, to come in and get camp going.
Was there a favorite baseball book that you read that you thought was the most helpful?
I read a few, and I didn't read this before, but I read Coach K's book, actually. It was a basketball coach book. I didn't read it before, and that was one of my, I read like 4 or 5 books, in the time, but that was my favorite one out of all.
Thanks, Louis.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Mike Fitzpatrick.
Hey, Luis, Mike Fitzpatrick from the Associated Press.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, a couple things. Just first, Brody had mentioned that from the start of this that you guys had one player on the 40-man roster who had tested positive. I know you guys are still going through the intake process as we speak. Just do you know at this point if there are any players, whether it be that player or other players, who will not be ready to go on Friday when camp opens? Well,
yeah, like you said, I already mentioned about the intake process. We're still going through that. Everyone reported. The intake process is what's going to give us who's going to be available starting tomorrow, which is our first day of formal practice camp. But we rely on that intake process. I mean, that's what's going to take us to the availability of players.
And the other thing is just for you personally, I mean, it's a little bit similar to a couple of the questions you've been asked, but as a first-year manager in the big leagues, I mean, this is just an incredible way, obviously, to be starting your obviously your first camp in charge and your first season in charge. Just I mean, how will this affect? This obviously is not what you envisioned, So how will this affect the way you do your job? Maybe the way you communicate with your players and coaching staff and things like that. What's going on here?
Well, yeah, definitely great challenge. And I keep bringing the word challenge, and we've had to work more. We have to work harder to maintain that communication. That's one of my great values, that I tell the guys. We have to over communicate. I mean, we call it like that, just to make sure that everyone knows what's going on and everyone know what their role is and how things are and what to expect. So we've worked harder, to communicate and to stay on track. So that's definitely one thing that's been a challenge, but we're doing it. The staff has done a great job. I got to give credit to the staff, performance staff, coaching staff. They've done it textbook, and we're going to keep on doing it. I mean, all the uncertainty, not knowing some of the things that may come in the future, we still can get prepared. We still can communicate and lay out what the plan is and what each individual is going to be doing and what the expectations are. And I think that's the best thing we can do. So we're going to keep working hard and, just to keep getting prepared and keep getting educated for everything that's heading our way.
Thanks, Louis.
Thank you, Mike.
Our next question comes from Veronica Contreras.
Hola,
Hola, Verónica.
¿cómo estás, Luis?
Bien, gracias a Dios. ¿Y tú?
Bueno, buenas tardes y gracias por dedicarnos este tiempo a todos aquí en la Gran Manzana. Háblame dos cosas. Una, cuando finalmente se llega a ese acuerdo de que vamos a tener béisbol, la alegría que te dio, que sentiste, y también si hay que dirigir tu primer año, no es lo que soñabas, como has mencionado, ¿no? Ya de estar en Grandes Ligas dirigiendo es un gran reto. ¿Cuál va a ser, tú crees, el reto más grande para ti este 2020?
Bueno, sí, cuando recibimos la noticia, para contestarte tu primera pregunta, de verdad que sí, muy emocionado por los muchachos porque estaba en constante comunicación con ellos y ellos estaban también muy llenos de emoción. Ellos estaban locos por volver a jugar, estaban locos por retornar, de verdad que estaban bien ansiosos y ellos me escribían a mí, ¿qué pasa? ¿Qué pasa? Yo mismo no sabía qué estaba pasando y yo no sé, pero me decían que estaban listos y de verdad mucha emoción por el equipo completo porque sabíamos que de alguna forma, quizás no de la misma en la que nos despedimos, nos íbamos a reunir a jugar béisbol, a hacer lo que nos gusta, a hacer lo que amamos y también pensando en la fanaticada de que le íbamos a traer nuevamente el juego que tanto le gusta, el juego que aman. Lo otro sí, ha sido un gran reto, ¿no? Primer año, como los giros que ha tomado este año para mí, viniendo desde ser coach hasta el dirigente, hasta preparar entrenamientos rápidos y luego tener ese paro y este gran cambio. Pero de verdad que en la vida hay que estar agradecido por lo que se aprende, ¿no? Y he aprendido bastante. Han habido tantas casualidades, tantas cosas en el mundo en los últimos meses, de verdad que sería un poquito egoísta nada más ponerme como en el centro de atención o pensar en lo que me está pasando a mí. Así que afortunadamente todo el mundo alrededor de mí está en salud. Yo espero que todos los muchachos durante este proceso ahora de campo de entrenamiento y de la temporada también lo mantengamos en salud. Y ese es el gol que yo tengo ahora mismo y ese es el reto que yo me he propuesto para que nosotros podamos jugar la mejor pelota posible.
Suerte.
Gracias, igual.
Our next question comes from Ed Coleman.
Hey, Louis.
Hey,
How are you? Normally during, exhibition games, which you don't have inning by inning increments, you can get your starting pitchers ready. Do you have any doubts that, in sim games or live BP, you can accomplish the same thing here during the time you have?
Yes, good question. We've had talks about it, and and we're going to start simulating games since early in camp. That's what the plan is. Definitely, that's been a tough layout just to know how we can staggering the guys, getting the guys in at the same time, getting defensive work, fundamental BP, and and start simulating the matchup, hitter versus pitcher, and you have your infield and outfield layout out there as well. So it may take some time, from session to session, and all the workouts and the rotations, but we're here with our strength, our willingness, and after putting our heads together just to map out our camp, we are gonna do that since early in camp. So we are gonna have the guys face each other. We are gonna try to ramp up that intensity So the guys, start feeling it since early, and all those, different noises that they're going to get early in the season, knowing that there's no fans in the stadium. And, so we are working on simulating all those things. So the guys get ready to compete when it's go time, July 24th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Dave Lennon.
Hey, Luis. Hope you and the family are doing okay.
Thank you.
It may sound a little crazy to say this, Luis, but do you think because everything is so new and different and strange for everybody that it almost kind of levels the playing field a little for you as a first-timer? Because some of those advantages may be taken away because everybody's trying to adjust to things that are so strange that maybe you can, you're kind of on the same level as a lot of the other guys, manager-wise.
Yeah, well, I haven't thought of it that way. Definitely, I think every manager right now has the same challenge. Obviously, to get the team prepared and to fulfill protocol, keep everyone healthy. As the number one priority before that. So we are playing the National League East and the American League East. Is the competition level. It's high in both divisions. So it's we have a challenge in front of us. So we definitely need to prepare. My goal as the manager is to get the guys ready, get the guys going, along with the coaching staff and along with the performance staff. And I think we prepare ourselves very well in all this time, and we're still doing it, till today, and we'll keep on doing it. This thing probably it's going to change day to day, but our goal is to prepare those guys, and that's where our focus is.
Are you really as cool about this as you make it look? I mean, at times this has to feel a little bit overwhelming. Yeah,
well, yeah. This is. I can tell you more than this. This is who I am. This is what I am, and my job is to get the guys ready and to communicate them, have them prepare, have them anticipate anything that they can probably encounter in this different season, as you call it, a sprint, and everything that comes with the package. So that's where my goal is, and the rest of the staff. So. We need to be under control to make sure that we prepare the guys the proper way, and we educate them and we educate ourselves.
Thanks, Luis.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Disha Thorzard.
Hey, Louis, you keep mentioning the word challenging. I'm just curious how you plan to address kind of the mental health aspect of preparing for this season, whether it's with you and with all of your players as they kind of handle new routines and everything else that goes along with it.
It is. I think, and that challenge, Disha, it's going to come, especially more so early, where we need to, we talked about the discipline, what we need to do. We've done it on Zoom calls, and, I'm sure the guys, we're doing it at home when all of us were separated. But we keep talking about it on Zoom calls that we're going to do it here on site. I mean, they've done a great job here in the facility. Our Brody, Albert, everyone that laid out everything here in Citi Field did a great job to keep the distancing and fulfill with the protocol. But not only here in the facility, but outside, we keep educating them. We talk to them. But early is when that challenge is going to come. Once they get educated and they get into a routine and how to move around, I know that that baseball focus that we need in order to keep preparing for the season is going to take over. So we are going to be strict from the start, but I know that once everyone gets into that routine, everyone is just going to act properly and like I said, focus on that baseball side, and we're going to be able to prepare, sink in just the same way we do, and have fun out there and bring Mets baseball to the fan.
When you say strict, do you mean just kind of continuously reminding the players of their protocols?
Definitely. We are doing educational programs to, conversations where we have to Zoom calls, which are, majority of our meetings are going to be like, and we are going to remind ourselves, how we need to behave. So, all included, everyone, from coaching staff, performance staff, to the players, we are going to keep reminding ourselves and how to behave, what do we need to do, to keep moving and to, take care of the health part, which is the number one thing.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Tina Servasio.
Hi, Luis. It's good to see you doing well. In baseball, I mean, injuries are part of the game and you lose players for long amounts of time, but the coronavirus is different. And if players test positive, whether you get information tomorrow or down the road and you find out you lose 1, 2, multiple players, how much thought have you given to that? What you do, how you approach it, how you approach the player when they come back?
Yeah, we thought about it and, we discuss it also, if it happens, how much even if of a competitive advantage can be, losing a player. I mean, it could, it could take probably the third of the season if you lose a player. So, according to our calculations, just to get the player back in a ramp up. So the whole process, which I'm not going to get into detail, is going to take us to, maybe a 3-week period until the player's ramping up back into activity. So that's basically what we discussed. I mean, we've talked about us having depth and maybe somebody coming in and maybe filling the spot for a time, but it can definitely turn out into a competitive advantage.
Our next question is from Raul Ramos.
Hi, Luis. How are you?
Doing great. How are you?
Good. Raul Ramos from Con las Bases Llenas. Everybody that knows you knows that you're a planner. Are you planning to have a full-time DH, or you would like to have a committee as a DH?
With the DH rule started brewing that it was going to be on, right away, we started clicking with a bunch of names because we have a lot of individuals can definitely fitting into a DH role, and we can start having names. And I know this Cespedes name has come out lately, and it'd definitely be a luxury having Cespedes on a daily basis as a DH. But he's someone that we still need to look how he presents, in camp when he's able to come in and do camp. So he is in a better position right now, per our performance staff, but we're definitely going to monitor that as we go into camp. But we have more names as well, like Robinson Cano can benefit from the DH spot. Even Wilson Ramos. You remember Wilson Ramos had a 26-game hitting streak from a catcher position last year. I mean, Wilson gets in a hot streak like that, and you want to have that bat in a DH spot. And, you have a Dominic Smith. We have a Matt Adams invited in camp, too, that can definitely rotate. And, any other guys that's hot, too, and you want to rotate, keep him in the lineup and plug in somebody that can go into that position, can also go there. So the depth in our roster, once again, I keep mentioning the depth in our roster. He can help out for that DH spot, and we'll see who the hothead is. And I know I mentioned Cespedes at the beginning because if Cespedes is, we're in a good position, at the start of the season, he may be a guy that will be a luxury to have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luis. And thank you everyone for joining today's call. As a reminder, we will be sending out details about the schedule for tomorrow's workout and additional details upon your arrival, and some additional protocols. If you have any questions, you can reach out to any member of our PR staff. Thanks again for everyone, and have a safe day.
Take care, guys. Great seeing you.